Do you just know stuff? Like you have a sense, a feeling, a direct knowing that something has happened within the lives of your friends, family, and maybe even the world itself? Do you go places and things just kind of feel off? You can feel it in your body, yet it's more than just your body. There's a sense that something has happened in this place and it doesn't feel good. Well, if this sounds like you, then you might be an energetic intuitive. What is that? Let's jump into it. All right, welcome back. Now, if you haven't yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button so you can stay in communication and constant contact with all the content and materials that come out on this station. Now, on our last of the four, kinesthetic, psychic, empathic, we come into the last of the bunch, which is our energetic, intuitive talent. Now, this is my personal primary. Again, we have a primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. And with all of these different pieces, we have sort of a lineup that comes into play. For me, I am an energetic, kinesthetic, psychic empath. And that means that my primary intuitive talent is all about energetics. So what we're going to be talking about today is what exactly that means, what are those sensitivities like, what are some of the benefits and some of the challenges that an energetic might face, and what kind of superpowers does that have. So energetics, as you would imagine, is really just about energy. It's the frequency, the oscillation, the imprint, and the encryption that certain energies have. Now, when we talk about this in the wider world, everything has a field of energy, a field of frequency. And this field is something that energetics can feel into. It's something that goes past that psychic aspect, even the empathic, even that kinesthetic awareness drops down into the gut. So when we talk about this gut feeling, for example, the enteric nervous system is a large sensory organ and platform for the energetics to tune in. Now for myself, I hear a frequency all the time. I hear sort of like a hum. And when I come into certain places, that hum changes. Last night I went on a night hike at Haleakala, and it was blazing high frequency. Other places, like certain stores or shops, I'll go in and it feels like a very low frequency. Now, that range of frequency is what energetics are able to tap into. And the thing about that is that energetics are very mutable, because at the base of our feelings and emotions, the information that we process and come into, as well as our body awareness, is energy. And so one of the things about energetics is that we do absolutely have a whole slew of things that are uniquely our own and can actually tap into empathic, psychic, and kinesthetic awarenesses. And so for myself, as an energetic kinesthetic, one of the things that really comes into play is that I can tap into not just the energy and the frequency of ... very specifically that of my body. And bodies in general, being able to see, to feel, to sense when things are just out of place, when things are in misalignment. That can go for like a spine, that can go for myself as a personal trainer back in those days, was really very useful because I could instantaneously tell if form was on and when it was off. Now, one of the things about energetics is that because it is tied to that enteric nervous system held within our stomach, it's also tied to our digestive system. So if you have any kind of digestive issues ongoing, this could be a source of it. Now, in terms of the benefits, energetics have a very broad spectrum. And so because of that, we're kind of like jacks of all trades. So while we may not necessarily be as precise as a psychic with the very nitty-gritty details, we can get a sense of things which tend to be spot on. One of the things with that then, in terms of those energetics, as we talked about before, this being much more of the intangible sense, is that we can have both the receptive and projective, that feminine and that masculine aspect. Now with the feminine, we can sense things. One of the things that I like to focus my attention upon is tracking. To be able to find an energy signature, to be able to sense into it, and then be able to detect whereabouts it is. When I do my grid work, for example, in a house, first thing I do is just walk in, and I just take my left hand and I just walk around and I sense, I feel for the frequency of anything in the house. Now on the projective piece, this gets into things like the concepts of Reiki, of Qigong, the movement of energy, to be able to shift things, to propel things, to expunge things. So when I do like a clearing, for example, that comes in from the right-hand side to be able to push on something to project it out. Now, it doesn't have to be all, in those areas of clearing and purging. There's lots of other ways to move energy as well. This is a more open sense and sensory organ. One of the things about energetics is we feel into everything. So whereas a psychic may be affected by cell phone tower emissions, or an empath might be sort of daunted by being in a place with a lot of people, energetics, again, are all of the above, and so have all the sensitivities that we've already mentioned, and can be walking into a place and feel the energy of the actual building, of the land itself, and perhaps the information, the taint, if you will, of what has happened in that place, if there was something that happened that was really negative. And on the flip side, though, that's something that can also be a part of the energetics, is sensing into things that are positive. However, when an energetic is largely open, we can be greatly affected by things like the Schumann resonant frequency, like solar flares and space weather. These are all things that can really affect us in terms of our own sense and well-being. Now, as we get to what exactly those superpowers are, well, there are many. Being able to re-encrypt, re-encode something. So if, for example, there is an energy that's off about a place, we're capable of moving that energy and to shift it. We're able to detect and to track the flows of energy. We're able to materialize more ably in terms of the fields of manifestation and how that turns into the material world. Energetics are really well equipped and apt and able to do all kinds of things, as I like to think it, as bending reality, because we're able to operate with the base coding of these, what are called morphogenetic fields, or the fields that we've been talking about so far, and be able to alter, to shift, to re-encrypt, and to recode what exactly that information holds. So if you're feeling this might be you, some of the things really resonate, then definitely stay tuned, as we'll be diving a little bit more deeply into specifically the energetics, and I'll link that when it is ready. That's it for now, though. Love and aloha, take care, and ahui ho.